So you've probably heard the phrase, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Today we're talking about reversibility, which is one of the key training principles. So let's get into it. So reversibility is basically a training principle which basically states that if you stop training, you will essentially lose the effect of the training that you've gained. And unfortunately, that's how it goes. We all wish that we could maintain our fitness without actually having to do anything. But unfortunately, that is just not how life goes. And so when you do stop training, you do begin to lose the effects of that training. And actually, it takes a lot less time to lose your fitness than it did to actually gain it in the first place. Detraining or missing training sessions is not always negative, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But it also can happen for a number of reasons. Maybe you've fallen ill, maybe you've become really busy, you've moved house, you've moved jobs, perhaps you've gotten pregnant and you've got a new child to look after. It could be due to weather or unforeseen circumstances such as the panoramic. It could be because of a lack of motivation. So there are a number of different reasons as to why you may find yourself missing sessions and actually on the other end of losing fitness. But we want to talk about what can we do to reduce reversibility, especially when we know that the changes are coming, especially when we know that a particular season's coming up. So let's talk about the holiday season, the Christmas season, that period where we've got things like Christmas and New Year. Maybe you're even blessed to be able to travel abroad and you're going to be on holiday. When you know that the changes are going to take place, it gives you a chance to actually plan for it and therefore reduce the effect of reversibility that could take place. The length of time it takes a person to lose their fitness does vary from person to person, but you can see a lot of loss, particularly in the areas of endurance and strength, in up to 2 weeks. And so where you can help it, you don't want to get up to a place where the effect of your fitness become quite drastic. As a guideline, you can say that it takes about a third of the time that it took you to gain your fitness to lose it. So let's say, for example, if it took you 3 weeks to gain the endurance that you have, it's going to take you about 1 week then to lose that fitness. And at that point, you'll probably find yourself returning to the place you were at the beginning of that period or before you started that training period. So of course, the more experienced you are, the more background you have in actually training, in sport or whatever it is, then you're not going to reverse to the state of a novice who'd never trained before, but you may find yourself returning to where you started, let's say at the beginning of your training block or your winter block or your off-season block, if you do find yourself in a place where you've missed quite a few weeks of training. But then again, what you will find is that when you do start training, you will actually pick up your results quite quickly. You pick up a lot quicker than you did before. Your body returns to its fitness state quicker. So that is one of the benefits if you do have a training experience, if you have trained, and even if you've started and then you've had a break or you've missed some session, get back into it, because it doesn't matter how many weeks you've missed. As soon as you get back into it, it's going to take you less time to get to the same place of fitness than it did the first time. So that is a benefit and a positive to take from it. But even though you may have lost your fitness quite quickly, you'll gain it quicker than you did originally. So that's something to keep in mind. I mentioned some of the health related components of fitness. I mentioned strength, I mentioned endurance, but I also want to mention flexibility. So when it comes to fitness loss and detraining and reversibility, some of the areas of fitness that you will find yourself losing the quickest will be the health related components of fitness. So that will be endurance and flexibility primarily, and then strength will follow after that. You often find that your skill related components of fitness take a bit longer. Think about when you learn to ride a bike. Even if you haven't ridden the bike for years, as soon as you go back to riding it, your body remembers exactly what to do. So when it comes to skill related components of fitness, you often do maintain those components a lot better, and even though you may not be as sharp, you will essentially still have the muscle memory and the components to be able to do that, and it's just a case of sharpening up and getting better at it. But your health related components of fitness are the ones that you will see reduce the quickest when you do miss training. So I mentioned at the beginning of the video that detraining is not always negative. And in what ways do I mean? So if you haven't checked out my video where I talk about how to progress your training, we talk about the principle of overload, but we mentioned how your body needs a chance to recover in order to adapt. And so having a period of detraining, or sometimes depending on sport, having a period where you miss some training actually helps you to be sharper, to be maybe a bit stiffer, which is actually good in some aspects, maybe to lose a little bit of muscle mass, which is good in some aspects. And so sometimes rest is definitely needed. When I said detraining, in terms of having a break from training, that can be positive and can have benefits, but you definitely don't want to go into a place of reversibility where you begin to lose fitness. And that's what you want to understand, the difference between rest and reversibility. So let's talk about an action plan for you guys now. You know that you've got a holiday coming up. You know the holiday season's coming up. What are you going to do to reduce reversibility? The prevention is always better than cure. In the same way, maintaining your fitness is always going to be easier than trying to develop it all over again. And so what can you do to maintain? Number one, make a plan. I know I say this to you guys all the time, but honestly, make a plan. Listen, it's not a crime to enjoy your Christmas. It's not a crime to enjoy your birthday. It's not a crime to go on holiday and just relax at the beach or whatever it is that you're going to do. Do that, but make a plan for it. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Honestly, so as much as you want to enjoy your holiday, plan that you're going to enjoy your holiday, how many days you're going to do absolutely nothing, but also plan what days you're going to do something. You know, having a holiday and doing one day, let's say you go on holiday for a week and you do 1 or 2 days of training, let's say, and it's only an hour and a half. What is that in the grand scheme of a holiday? That's not going to ruin your holiday. But actually, if you don't do that in a holiday, when you come back, you're going to regret it because you're going to be in a place where you've moved backwards in your fitness. So think about this, guys. Plan which days am I going to do absolutely nothing, but which days am I going to do something? What is the bare minimum I can do or that I need to do in order to maintain the fitness that I have? Because you don't want to lose it. You worked so hard to get to the place that you are. Why would you want to throw it all away just for a temporary moment of fun? So short-term pleasure for long-term pain. That's not how the quote is supposed to go. It's supposed to be short-term pain for long-term gain. And so even in your fun time, just factor in a fraction of exercise. Factor in, okay, I'm going to eat whatever I want on this day, but actually on these days, I'm going to just be normal. Like, have a good time, enjoy your life, but just don't be a glutton. Like, there's a difference between having a good time, enjoying, and being greedy. We don't have to be greedy to say that we had a good time. So just have a little bit of self-control, guys. So plan if you're going away for 2 weeks, if you're having a 2-week sabbatical, a 2-week annual leave, or whatever you're doing, just plan in which day, which hour of the day are you going to do something. A time where it's not going to impact all the fun you're going to have. It's very simple. Have a what, have a where, have a when, have a how long. So I've got a few short workouts on my channel deliberately, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, to get something in, because like I said in this video, something is better than nothing. And so my second point is related to when you do come back to training. So when you do come back to training, if you have maintained, then you put yourself in a better position when you do come back to continue on from where you left off. However, if you haven't done anything at all, then obviously you're going to essentially have to go back to where you started. Something to consider when you do come back, guys. Don't just go back in full throttle with super high intensity. Consider going for volume before you go for intensity. Okay, so start off with some conditioning work, remind your body to re-prep your body for what you want to do, and then increase volume before you increase intensity. So that's just the second point for when you come back, so that you don't just throw yourself in there and get injured, that you don't overexert yourself. If you haven't done anything, then remember that you would have lost some fitness if you haven't done anything at all. If you have done something, then of course you would have maintained more fitness, but you still may have lost some fitness. Be realistic with yourself, be honest with yourself as to how much you have done and how much you have maintained, and don't overestimate your fitness or your ability. It's better to start off a bit lighter. Like I said, start off with some conditioning work, start off with volume before you start off with intensity, and then gradually increase it once again. So hopefully those tips were helpful for you guys. If you like the video, please give it a big thumbs up to help me accelerate my channel, to let the algorithm know so that more people can see this video. And if you still want some advice about how to progress your trainings, particularly for when you get back to training, then make sure to check out this video, and I'll see you guys next Friday.